Hello, my name is Kevin Bradley. I'm the Senior Chemist for the Community Air Monitoring Program for the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. This presentation will cover the International Border Community Air Monitoring Plan. The topics that will be covered in this presentation include the priorities identified by the community in conversations during steering committee meetings as well as individual meetings with steering committee members. Based on feedback we received, as well as from historical knowledge, we identified certain pollution monitoring targets. We will summarize their health effects, sources, and measurement methods. I'll also discuss the sites where we will be monitoring for this pollution, including 2 existing sites as well as several prospective sites. I will summarize the data analysis process, and I will also discuss several of the roles that help make the Community Air Monitoring Program and the Community Air Protection Program more broadly help to reduce air pollution in the international border community. Finally, I will discuss the ongoing communication with the international border community and its steering committee, as well as some of the next steps that APCD will be taking. The Community Air Protection Program specifies that a local air agency must generate a community air monitoring plan. This community air monitoring plan has to answer 3 overarching questions. What is the reason for conducting community air monitoring? How will the community air monitoring be conducted? And how will the data that is collected support action to improve the air quality in the region? During steering committee meetings, we had steering committee members tell us about different air quality concerns they had within the region. This map summarizes the feedback that we received from the steering committee. If you want to zoom in and pan around on the map, you can scan the QR code shown on the screen here. Zooming in on San Ysidro shows certain of the specific pieces of feedback we received, including that the California State Route 905 frequently has lots of heavy truck traffic, that there are certain schools in that region, there are certain schools along that freeway, including San Ysidro High School and Vista Del Mar Elementary School. The yellow line on the map represents the rail line that cuts through the middle of San Ysidro, as well as the rail yard east of the freeways, close to the San Ysidro Port of Entry. The San Ysidro Port of Entry itself is also of concern due to long wait times and large quantities of idling vehicles releasing harmful air pollution. The Las Americas Premium Outlets is another area of high traffic. Residents also cited the ATVs, or all-terrain vehicles, used by Border Patrol agents, which can kick up dust. Finally, the ongoing issues with wastewater contamination in the Tijuana River was cited by steering committee members. Further east in Otay Mesa, the community noted that there are 2 airports which are of concern, the Brownfield Municipal Airport as well as the Tijuana International Airport. In addition, there are many warehouses in Otay Mesa where the trucks that cross the border frequently deposit goods. The Otay Mesa Port of Entry itself is also of concern for the same reason as San Ysidro, that there are large quantities of idling vehicles. Otay Mesa is typically associated with more heavy-duty trucks as well. Based on the feedback that we received, as well as the historical knowledge and data that we have determined to target the following 5 types of air pollution: particulate matter, diesel particulate matter, volatile organic compounds, odor-causing chemicals, and airborne metals. These 5 types of air pollution can have a range of different health impacts, including headaches and dizziness, respiratory irritation, and different types of cancer. Particulate matter is typically released from construction activity, vehicles driving on unpaved roads, fires, and more. Particulate matter is particularly dangerous because its small size allows it to penetrate deep into lung tissue, causing respiratory inflammation and types of cancer. APCD will be using continuous sensors and monitors, such as the sensor shown here on the screen, which is a purple air sensor. More information on particulate matter can be found at the URL shown on the screen or by scanning the QR code. Diesel particulate matter is a subset of particulate matter, which comes from diesel engines and exhaust. This exhaust can contain over 40 different toxic air contaminants. Long-term exposure is associated with increased cancer risk, especially lung cancer. And short-term exposure can irritate the eyes, nose, and respiratory passageways, as well as cause headaches, coughs, and nausea. It also increases sensitivity to allergens and can exacerbate existing respiratory issues. APCD will be performing both continuous monitoring and filter-based monitoring. Continuous monitoring will target black carbon, which is a marker of diesel particulate matter. The filter-based technology will target elemental carbon, which is another marker of diesel particulate matter. More information on diesel particulate matter can be found at the URL on the screen or by scanning the QR code. Volatile organic compounds are chemicals that tend to release vapor, and these vapors can contribute to ozone formation. Ozone is a criteria pollutant designated by the EPA, which is monitored by APCD's regional monitoring program. Volatile organic compounds themselves can have health effects such as cancer, inflammation of the eyes, nose, and respiratory passages, and exacerbation of existing respiratory conditions. APCD will be monitoring for a list of over 50 different volatile organic compounds using canisters, like the one shown here on the screen. The canister includes a flow controller and a timer to collect a sample over a 24-hour period. APCD will also be monitoring for odor-causing chemicals. The ongoing wastewater treatment issues that are causing contamination in the Tijuana River Valley were frequently cited by steering committee members. These odors can cause headaches and nausea, as well as decrease overall quality of life and lead to mental health issues such as depression. APCD will be monitoring using continuous sensors for chemicals such as hydrogen sulfide, which is associated with sewage, as well as total volatile organic compounds. Finally, APCD will monitor for airborne metals. Metals can be released from industry, fuel combustion, roadside dust, tire and brake wear, and more. These metals can cause cardiovascular damage and different types of cancer. They are measured by collection onto filters, which are shown here in these pictures. The image at the top shows the device that pulls in an air sample across the filter, whereas at the bottom, in image A, you can see a clean filter. Image B, you can see one of our chemists loading the filter into a protective cassette, and image C shows a used filter, which is clearly much dirtier than the clean filter. So in summary, these are all the different types of air quality monitors that we're going to be using, including the MET1 BC1060 in the top left, which monitors for black carbon, a marker of diesel particulate matter. We'll also be using filters to measure for elemental carbon and metals, continuous sensors to measure for regular particulate matter as well as odor-causing chemicals, and canisters to measure for volatile organic compounds. It is important to note that weather and climate can have an effect on air pollution. One example is seasonal trends. In the winter, the air is generally colder, whereas in the summer, the air is warmer. And what this means is that in the wintertime, air tends to compress more, whereas in the summer, the air tends to expand more. When air expands, there is more mixing and pollution levels are lower, whereas when air is cooler, it doesn't mix as much, it stays compressed, and the air pollution is trapped in a smaller volume, leading to higher pollution levels. This is just one example of a weather effect. Things like precipitation and wind can also have profound effects on air pollution levels. Monitoring sites will be placed throughout the international border community. Currently, the APCD monitors near the Donovan State Prison, shown in the top right, as well as in San Ysidro at the fire station number 29. These are shown by the purple markers on this map. The green markers show some potential APCD monitoring sites, while the blue markers show sites that the California Air Resources Board is planning to use for different types of monitoring. APCD and the California Air Resources Board are in constant communication to determine how to best and most efficiently deploy our air monitoring resources. This slide shows the potential sites, existing sites, and the types of pollution that we will be monitored for at each site. In the bottom right, you can see the key that shows that a dark green circle indicates that elemental carbon will be monitored at that site. Yellow corresponds to metals, dark gray corresponds to black carbon, light blue corresponds to volatile organic compounds, dark blue corresponds to odor-causing chemicals, and light green corresponds to particulate matter. As you can see in the bottom left, our existing sites will be monitoring for the majority of these compounds, besides at Donovan State Prison, where we don't feel it is necessary to monitor for odors because it is so far away from the Tijuana River. I also want to highlight that at the San Ysidro International Border Port of Entry, you only see particulate matter listed as a target. The reason for this is not because other types of pollution are not important there. They very much are, but because that area is so crowded and so difficult to access, and some of these instruments that we use require frequent maintenance, we feel it is a better use of our resources to put smaller sensors closer to the border that need very little maintenance, and the bigger monitors will be slightly further away at either Larson Field, Las Americas Outlets, or even Willow Elementary School, where there is a little bit better access for our technicians to access the instruments and equipment to be able to perform maintenance and other troubleshooting. Data analysis can be a lengthy process, and APCD wants to be as transparent as possible with the international border community and the steering committee. First, the instruments that are used for analysis must be calibrated. Once the instruments are calibrated, samples can be collected, but samples that are collected must then be sent to third-party laboratories for analysis. The third-party lab then sends a data report back to the Air Pollution Control District, where our chemists perform further quality review on the data and analyze for trends and different information that can then be communicated to the public via steering committee meetings and other written reports. This process can take time, particularly when sending samples to third-party laboratories. APCD will make every effort to streamline the data analysis process so that important air quality information can be presented to the steering committee as quickly as possible. Several different people and entities have responsibilities related to the Community Air Protection Program. Different government agencies, including APCD, California Air Resources Board, and different Mexican government agencies are responsible for the bulk of air pollution monitoring, data analysis, emission and exposure reduction strategies, and engaging the communities in our ongoing air quality improvement efforts. Contract laboratories will perform sample analysis. Community-based organizations such as Casa Familiar attend and help organize steering committee meetings, perform air pollution monitoring of their own, and help to disseminate information to the broader community. Finally, the San Diego State University School of Public Health performs additional monitoring and academic research and helps to analyze the data that APCD collects as well as their own data for how it affects public health. Besides the entities mentioned previously, the International Border Community Steering Committee also plays an integral role. APCD sees the steering committee as a bridge between us and the other government agencies and the residents of the international border community. They can explain the needs of the community to us at APCD as well as the California Air Resources Board, and can also disseminate air quality information to the broader community. The steering committee will also be integral in the development of the Community Emissions Reduction Program, and will hold APCD and the California Air Resources Board accountable to the goals and strategies set out in the Community Air Monitoring Plan and the Community Emissions Reduction Program. Ongoing communication will be vital to the success of this program. To that end, APCD intends to present quarterly data updates to the steering committee, and also form an air monitoring data subcommittee that can help APCD generate presentations that are not just informative, but also accessible and actionable for the community and the steering committee members. APCD will also generate a yearly progress report on the state of the air monitoring network. We will make all data available publicly at multiple websites, including the California Air Resources Board's AQView website, the San Diego APCD website, and EPA's Air Quality System Database, AQS. We will set up social media updates and text alerts to inform the community of important air quality information, and we are working on getting a school flag program set up and extending that program to other community-based organizations. Some of the next steps that we will be taking is forming subcommittees, developing the Community Emissions Reduction Program, which will include exposure reduction strategies, reviewing land use, and developing rules to help lower air quality problems. Additional monitoring will also be performed as necessary. If you have any questions on this presentation, please reach out to me at kevin.bradley@sdapcd.org. Several of my colleagues' contact information is also listed on this screen if you have more specific questions. Thank you.